Good afternoon, Dargz channel. We're back at here again, and today we have a very interesting topic. Before we start, as always, it is 2 p.m. for me. I just got a bunch of my schoolwork done for today, and right now we're getting on to the Dargz grind. I'm also simultaneously working on a main channel video today that should be going up very soon. I'm projecting that it's going to go up in maybe the next 2 to 3 days, and I am really excited to get that done very soon. So keep an eye out for that. Check the main channel pretty frequently. I think this is going to be a phenomenal video. But of course, new Mascot horror drama has been happening behind the scenes that I really want to talk about. This is something that I was kind of hesitant to talk about because I really don't want any harassment going to this guy, but also this situation is just incredibly funny. So before we start, to preface, do not go seeking out anything about this guy. The audience here is small enough to where I can trust that nobody is going to go after this person, even if what they did was not the coolest thing to do. So let's just set that up right here. Don't go after this guy. Okay, let's talk about what he did now. So if you are very involved in Mascot horror stuff, I mean like in the trenches of this shit, you might have heard of the developer TNP Games. I put a very big spotlight on them in my Garden of Banban fan games video from a few months ago for making games such as Handy Dan's Lair. Now, these games are very simple in size and scale, and they were uploaded to free on itch.io. The games aren't really anything that special. They are mostly kind of meme games, but, you know, they're kind of cool, especially since the developers said that they're 13 to 14, which is really important. Like, remember this key detail right here, alright? But he was basically known for just making Banban adjacent games, Banban fan games, stuff like that. And I covered some of them a few months ago, and that's how they got on my radar personally. But recently, they actually published a new game themselves on Steam and not itch.io called Playtown. And this one is $6. I'm probably not gonna play it. I might very later down the line for a video that I might want to do on more rejected Mascot horror games like the one I did a few months ago. But as of right now, I don't really have any plans on playing this game. This game already had some controversy in it of itself for being as pricey as it is, and apparently not being that great. Kinda like how Poppy Playtime 1 did before it went free once Chapter 2 came out. But it kinda sat festering in the dark and in silence for a very long time, as not many people really cared about this game or gave it that much attention. But drama started festering about this game, not because of the game itself, but because of what people were saying about another Mascot horror game called Muzzy. Now, I've briefly mentioned Muzzy a little bit in the past. I'm not going to do a whole video on it because other people have already done slop videos on that, so that's not going to be talked about by me in too much detail. But the core rundown of it is that Muzzy is a Mascot horror game that released very recently that both Dawko and Fusion Z Gamer played, and it got a bit of attention on Twitter because of the titles that they chose for these games. If you don't know, Dawko is known for having very energetic titles that are typed in all caps for everything that he plays. But for the game that he made on Muzzy, he just called it like another Mascot horror game that I need to play with bootleg Huggy Wuggy, please help. And Fusion also had a bit more of a generous title, but still kinda condescending by calling the creature a bootleg Huggy Wuggy, which don't get me wrong, it absolutely is a bootleg Huggy Wuggy, but that's completely besides the point. This all started though when somebody made a tweet about Muzzy, and one of my Twitter mutuals, Roxy Wolf, decided to quote tweet it by saying Banban was the last straw for this stuff. Which, you know, agreeable. I don't think this game is going to get much traction like Banban did. I highly doubt that's going to be the case. But like I said, that's besides the point. The real meat doesn't start until this Twitter commenter right here that calls Muzzy, another game called Joyville, and Playtown Mascot horror ripoffs of Poppy Playtime. Which, you know, I think is a very understandable opinion when you look at all of these games. But TNP saw this tweet and they decided to say some pretty interesting stuff about it. The first tweet that I saw by them that is actually still up is them just saying cry about it, Playtown popular, or something like that. Which, you know, a little toxic, but, you know, I don't see it as that bad because the other other person was already attacking him, so that was fine. I thought that was kind of funny. Things started to get a bit weirder, though, when he started attacking people's identities and interests. This still started off as pretty tame, just like by pointing out people that were gay furries and then adding the skull emoji. So, still very cringe, but if TNP had stopped here, I think a lot of people would have just forgotten about it by now. But he just had to keep digging this grave for himself, going after the nationalities of anybody, whether they were gay or what race they were. It was crazy. I have not seen somebody commit this big of career suicide in a really long time. I do not understand why he did this. The anti-furry stuff he was saying got to me specifically because it reminds me of those YouTube shorts that 9-year-olds make of like skibbity toilet characters flushing down furries. If you guys know what I'm talking about, please tell me, because this is a very niche thing. But I swear to God, I see this on the YouTube shorts tab all the time of just homophobic 9-year-olds trying to be like hard asses. It's really, really funny. But it kind of checks out because, like I said, the developer behind TNP Games is apparently 13 years old. So, you know, like, it checks out, I guess. But now, that is not what they are claiming, fellas. So, of course, this couldn't have gone unaddressed forever. TNP Games eventually had to acknowledge this if they wanted any semblance of a career going forward. So, they acknowledged it in one of the strangest ways I think I have ever seen. They claim that TNP Games isn't actually just one guy, but a studio made up of 20 different people, and the person that got a hold of the account to tweet all these things was apparently let off and fired. Which, like I said, I don't know how true that is because there is a comment saying that this person is 13 years old. So I don't know if they're just lying. I don't know if they got a team of 20 people in the 7 months that this comment's been up, but I haven't really seen any more proof that there are more developers for this studio than just the guy that was on this account. So if this is just a really elaborate lie they had to make up after the clarity of what they did hit, that is even funnier. I hope that it is actually a team of 20 people and that the developers that are making this don't have their progress hindered too much, but I also don't know if that's a very plausible thing to believe. Either way, they certainly need to be more responsible of who's let on the Twitter account at the very least. Since the lead developer of TNP Games is like 13 to 14, I'm going to assume that the majority of this team, if not every single member, is completely made up of minors. So something like this happening isn't implausible to me. It's just very, very silly how something like this could have even happened. But even if this is just an elaborate lie and it is just one guy, do I think TNP Games deserves to have his entire career as a game dev thrown away just because of these tweets? I don't think so at all, honestly. If it is true that he is actually 13 to 14, then I think he should have the opportunity to mature as he gets older and continue making games. Of course, you don't have to support his actions. I think what he did was incredibly cringe, and I don't think you should support what he did. But you do also have to keep in mind that this is a very young kid. I used to say very stupid shit as a 13-year-old online too, and this kid has a moderate semblance of a platform, unlike I did when I was 13. So I could only imagine the stupid shit I would have gotten into if I was put in the same position as him when I was that young. So I just give this kid his opportunity to grow up before you dogpile on him too hard. Even if he is lying, he at least seems a little bit remorseful for the things that he was saying, and this experience would have likely been a learning experience for them, and they're likely going to be more tolerant of people in the future. But that's just my opinion on the statements that he made. I don't know, you could come up with your own opinion. If you disagree with me, you can certainly let me know, and we could probably discuss that in my comments if I had the free time. I just don't think that it's out of the ordinary for kids to say dumb things on the internet, especially when they're given an audience. So I just keep that in mind before you criticize the kid too hard for his actions. But that kind of wraps up my feelings on this entire drama. I'm going to probably stop this video now. The Dargz train still keeps chugging. We're almost at a week of uploading for the Dargz channel. That's absolutely insane. I cannot wait for tomorrow. But for now, that's all the topics that I could squeeze out of this one. So, you know, I have been Dargz, and I'm gonna continue to be I don't know. I'll see you tomorrow.